Welcome. My name is Kirk Tracy. This is Learning Quickbase in Minutes. You can do anything with Quickbase. This will be a journey into seeing some of the common core functions that are available to you. You can webify things from spreadsheets. You can also browse our application exchange where we've got over 800 application design best practices already listed there. So I'll go through about 5 slides and we'll jump into Quickbase so that you can get to see what it looks like firsthand really quickly. We use forms to collect information with Quickbase, and we use reports and dashboards to be able to do that. The types of things Quickbase is used for: projects, CRM, keeping track of tasks, documents, keeping track of customer requests, surveys. There's a whole host of things that you can use Quickbase for. There are core functions to Quickbase. There are the forms, as I mentioned, to bring information into Quickbase. You can be public or private. You can also use Quickbase to provide reports: charts, graphs, calendars, timelines, grids, tables, all different kinds of reports. You can also invoke dashboards to collect the reports that are most important to you. You can imagine a customer, vendor, or subcontractor. They would need to see different types of things. Well, that's what dashboards are all about. And making them easy to customize is something that's a part of Quickbase. It doesn't require you to purchase, download, or install any servers, software, or hardware. And you can do this without an IT team to make that happen. So what we'll do is we'll talk about those things, plus like alerts, notifications, reminders, and subscriptions, different ways of invoking the automation that's built into Quickbase. And we can talk about how security is invoked using Quickbase as well. Usually what I do is I'll share my desktop and I'll open a browser, and I've got a Google Chrome browser going here right behind my email. Here we are. And this is the My Apps page. You can see My Apps over here. And over on the right-hand side, you can see your name. My name's Kirk Tracy, and my preferences are under here. Now, what are these blue items up above here? These are applications that I've used frequently. So you'll find this will start to build as you begin using a Quickbase, and you can use that as a quick launch screen if you'd like to. If I go down a little bit further, you'll see these applications. These applications are ones I've either created or I've been invited into, and I can create a couple more of them here just by clicking over on this green button over here on the right-hand side. If I click on that, you can see the items here. There's 3 different ways of creating Quickbase. One is the app exchange, as I mentioned. You can take a spreadsheet and webify it. That's what we're going to do first, and then we'll go back into the exchange. But there's another way that you can create them, and that's from scratch. By the way, we have webinars throughout the week, and on Wednesday and Friday afternoons at 2 p.m. East Coast time, we open up the phones and do customization conversations. So if there's something you've ever wanted to do with your Quickbase, please join us on those sessions. You'll find more information about that out on our website. So let's create something by taking a spreadsheet and webifying it. So here we've got a box, and if I browse over to an Excel spreadsheet, you can see I've got a bunch of contact information. I have company, contact, title, address, city, state, zip, phone, fax, email, those types of things. Now, other tabs within the spreadsheet might be around projects and tasks, requests, simple surveys. So you can imagine they all have rows and columns in common with each other. I'm going to take the contacts here. I'll go down and grab all of them and go over, and I'll right click and copy this information, bringing it back out to the Quickbase, and I'll paste it right inside the box here. Now I could have browsed for this, and that's another way of doing it, but I like the cut and paste method. I'll say next, and Quickbase will recognize that there's a header row in here. And you notice what happens when I select that, use the header row. It actually names the fields that are coming into Quickbase, and it gives me the opportunity to say, no, that isn't what I'd like it to be. I'd like to change it. And I'd also maybe like to format the information different than just a data entry box like text. You can make it a multiple choice field or a currency or a date with a calendar choice if you'd like to. So as I look across here, I might make multiple choice out of the state field. Zip codes are always text. because they sometimes have leading zeros, or they're not like the structure of the US where we have strictly numbers in there. Phone numbers are recognized. So I've got emails, websites, lead source, best time to call, a whole bunch of fields. So I can decide whether I want to bring them in or not. So I'm going to increase the input here. Let's call this the Acme Contact Manager. And each one of these are contacts. And I'll say OK. And what it'll do is it will create a Quickbase application. And here we have a dashboard. And it's got 2 of the 5 core functions of Quickbase. It has dashboards and reports. I can hover over and actually drill down into the detail here. And you'll see all of these records have been created automatically by importing. Now, if I click on Customize in the upper right corner, what can happen is that I step behind the curtain and I can see where these are laid out on the page. And I may wish to get rid of one of these reports. I may wish to change the sizing around if I want to do that. I may want to pull one of these widgets down onto the page and release it where I want it to be, in which case I've got a search box that's going to be looking through all these contacts. So let's save this and you'll see what's happened to the dashboard. We have changed it to 2 reports down below and the ability to add and to search. And I can look for Dave and find a whole bunch of records that have Dave in them. And there's David, there's Davenport, Iowa. There's Davis and David Lewis down below here. So this kind of quick search is wonderful. Let's click on direct mail. Click. There should be like 24 of these records, and there are. There's 24 of these that are from a lead source called direct mail. And if I drag this over to the side, you can see that's what's in common with all of these. Direct mail, direct mail. So now I'm on this tab. It's called Contacts. This is similar to the tab in a spreadsheet, but there's many other things that you can do with it. On the left side, you can see there's this filtering that's over on the side, which you can collapse if you wish to, or you can you actually delete it if you wanted to. But let's go down and see if we can filter what we're seeing over here. We have 100 contacts in here. I want to know if we have any Canadian Mounties. Yes, we have Dudley Do-Right. How about flying squirrels? We have 1 flying squirrel. How about governors? We have 1 governor, Bullwinkle Moose. And as we go down further, you probably can tell that this is a cast of a cartoon show. Bullwinkle Moose, Dudley Do-Right, Rocket Squirrel. But this kind of filtering allows you to actually take any kind of report. And these reports were automatically created when we imported the spreadsheet. So if I went to lead source, for instance, click. Here I've got the ability to look at where all of these leads came from. Now I know they're from Yahoo and direct mail, but I want to know where all the CEOs have come from. So it's actually adjusting dynamically. Let's uncheck that and go down and find out where the presidents come from. And so they may be a different demographic and they are coming from a different lead source. So this idea of being able to dynamically change the report or look for something, I don't know if there's a Dave in this one. Yep, there is a Dave. Let's click on it. Click and see what that record is that has Dave in it. And it's David Crane. So once again, I'm clicking on contacts. This is a table inside of Quickbase like the tab that was within the spreadsheet, and you can add additional tables. Maybe you want to say that contacts have documents or contacts have activities or projects. Maybe you want to connect your Quickbase application to another data source like getting information about customer data from Salesforce, or maybe you want to pull your invoicing information from QuickBooks Online. That's what these are here. So that produces something that actually brings that data into Quickbase so that you can use it in your reporting as well. Let's go down and view one of these records in this list. So this is a form. And you can see that the field names, company, name, remember that was contact, now it's called name. If I scroll down a little bit, because I may want to add something that is not here, all I have to do is right click and add a field. So I'm going to right click and use that functionality to create a brand new field for notes. And notes are multiple lines of text. Now, before I check this checkbox or check this selection here, which is there are many other things I could be adding to the form. I could be adding pictures, file attachments. I could put calendar stuff on here. I can put business card links. I can put formulas very similar to the formula functions that are inside Excel. You can put into Quickbase, and those are represented down at the bottom of the screen here. I'm going to go into multiple lines and say done, and that's how easy it is to add a notes field. And let me pull it up from the bottom so you can see what it looks like. There it is. Notes go here. Now, if there's anything that you want to add onto it, all you have to do is right click, for instance, and add something else. You can also move these things around. How would you do that? Well, you can edit the way the form looks down below here. You can remove things. We can remove the notes, for instance, just as easily as we've added them. And if there's one thing I want you to think about is right-click empowers you to do 95% of what you want to do with Quickbase right by right-click. And you can give that power to anybody with the roles and permissions. For instance, I can come up here to users, and I wish to share this with somebody. And I'll say, let's pick somebody. Marshall Dodge at example.com. And now I can designate what kind of activities I'm allowing this person to do. And I know there's a viewer, a participant, an administrator. Participant, you can modify things inside for data, but you can't change the design of your application. The administrator, however, can do that. This is only 3. You can have as many of these as you want to. I'm going to say he's a participant. So it allows me to write him a little note and invite him. And now he's behaving and he's added to this application with the ability to come in, look at dashboards, update the contact information, assign leads, and do all kinds of things like that. Okay, we're back at the home page right here, and this is the dashboard that we were looking at earlier. This is one Quickbase application. I'm going to create a new application, and this time I'm going to go out to the application exchange. And there's many different types of applications that we could be selecting out here in the exchange. There are over 800 of these applications. Now, if there's a particular kind of application you're looking for, like one for billing, for instance, and you hit enter, there are 11 matches that came up that have some kind of billing functionality built into them. You can look at the rankings of them and how many tables are within each. These are like the tabs in your spreadsheet. Some are very basic with one table, and some have many because they have a deeper functionality. Now, I'm going to go over on the left side and say, I want to look for project management applications. Since that's a common use case, there were 190 designs in the application exchange. And I'm going to jump into the middle of the fray here. I'll go not too busy, not too deep, not too complex, not too simple, but know that you can go to the extreme in either side of this. I'll try to go into the middle and get this application. I can name it anything I want to, but I'll say create. And what it's doing is it's pulling this out of the application exchange. It's going to pop it up on our screen here as if we are a project manager, and we'll see one of those core functions of Quickbase. We'll be landing on a dashboard, for instance, and you'll also see those reports that a project manager will be able to see when they create a Quickbase application. So these are and is a dashboard, and as I scroll down, this sample data is here. And it's showing us things like timelines, which, by the way, click if you need to move them around, you can. And also click, you can modify them by adding things or hiding things. Maybe you want to see actual hours versus budget hours on your timeline, and there it is. Now you have it there. You can print it, you can export it, and that's typically under this more option hamburger over here. And there you have, you can edit it, save it as a spreadsheet, or you can print it. Other kinds of reports people use are ones that have colorization, and the colorization is used to highlight a certain sense of what's happening. Is it aging? These happen to be all colorized pink because their days overdue are greater than 0. There's another way of colorizing your applications by using graphics, pictures if you want to. We host 2,500 different graphics inside Quickbase so that you can use them, and we just have invoked this into this particular version or this report so that the text displays from the notes field inside, so you don't have to have the notes field right on there. If I had added the notes field by just adding a column, some of the times the notes fields are so big, here's history and notes, are so big that they dominate the page, and you can see how it does. Imagine if it's like 3 or 4 inches high. You may not want that in your report, so you click and you hide it, and you use something like a graphic to maybe highlight that information for you. Anyway, how do you customize these pages? Let's go up to the top. You can see the sample data is being ready here to be deleted if you needed to. Over on the right-hand side, you see customize this page. If I click on that, it steps behind the curtain. It lets me see the wizardry in the background, and it lets me click on a subject, for instance, and drag it to where I want to have it, release it, and then I can select which report I might want to have here. Now, these are the ones that are created from the application, but if you've created your own, you could be selecting them here. I'm just going to add this in here to show you how easy it is to resize and to add something into your Quickbase. Let's save it. There we go. We have now an adjusted dashboard here. How do I create dashboards if I have a customer that I want to bring into Quickbase? Well, under settings, if I click on that, right in the center of the screen are pages, and they're appropriately named so. This doesn't require you to purchase, download, or install any hardware or software. When I say new, there are 3 different kinds of pages. And this is the one that doesn't require any code or really thought at all. This one doesn't either. It has an HTML editor, so you can make rich text, graphics, and things like that on your page. But this is the one that we're going to be talking about today. And I'll create this dashboard, and here it is, blank. I'm going to click and drag down here and release, and then make a selection for which kind of report I want to put on here. And I want to put all the tasks in here. This is going to be for a customer. Let's grab another one. Let's pull this down. This time I'm going to put a timeline in here. And I have a timeline right somewhere in here. Dashboard. There it is. Now notice it's got a whole bunch of different projects in it. It's got the customer service system upgrade. It's got increased web presence. It's got T3 install. In the end, when we talk about roles and permissions, I'll show you how easy it is to customize that so they only see what they want, what we want them to be able to see. Okay, let's go further here. We want to add another report on top of this. And we will say this report is list all projects. Now I know there's like 6 or 7 of them right here. In the end, we'll only let them see the ones that belong to Acme. Let's add a text box on top, and I'll try to do this quickly because we could play around in here for a long time. This is a welcome screen. Welcome, Acme Staple Company, and click, click, click. This allows us to highlight it and then bring up the size so that it's more balanced to the page. We can also highlight and colorize, and you can select any kind of color you'd like to put in here. You can put pictures in here. You can come over to the properties and actually shut off that label there. And you can make things collapse if you want to, so that the sections collapse on the dashboard, that all those things are there. So what else are we going to do? Let's grab a button and bring that down there. And we'll say you can use these buttons to do a whole bunch of things. Add records. Which records can you add? Well, every one of the tables above has the capability of adding an extra row to the information that's in there. We're going to say projects, but you can select all your reports, different pages. Use this for navigation, for quick links if you wish to. So we're going to do that. Now, when I look at this, it's got this header here, and this is the color green. I would like to click on it again and say, I want to use a different color. And I'll try to approximate that orange that I've got over here on the right-hand side. But given patience, you could really figure out how to make it match exactly. You can see the hexadecimal there on the side. One other thing I wanted to do is take away that title. And so there, we've updated the dashboard. I'll click on Save, and there's many more things you can do, but now it's called New Homepage. And I didn't remember to actually click on that and say, let's call this the Acme Dashboard. I think that's what I did. Okay, so we've got an Acme dashboard, and now I'll save this, and it's titled that. And it's appropriate that when Acme comes in that we give them a role that has that as the default rather than the one that we're using now, which is the project manager's dashboard. So let's exit out of settings here, and we'll be back to the dashboard. Depending upon who you are, you see different things when you log in, and you're served up different dashboards depending upon what you're doing. So what are these other items up above here? These are tables similar to the tabs that we were looking at. We have companies. And each one of these has their own settings and their own reporting. And as I click across, every one of these gets changed. Now, you've already seen this filtering down the left side. If I said, show me the New Hampshire companies, it shows me two companies, the City of Corius and the Journal Transcript. If I click on the next one, I had a whole different set of filtering because the data is different. And remember, these keep track of any people, place, or thing. So if you can think of some noun that you want to keep track of, you can add it to your Quickbase application and then link it together with other pieces. I'd like to see Kirk Allen Tracy's projects. And these are just Kirk Allen Tracy's as a project manager. Now, a lot of people will ask, is there a way to copy things we do routinely over and over? And it might have a whole procedural step of 100 different items. And the answer is yes. There is a clone functionality or a copy parent-child functionality that's built in here that can do that kind of thing. And there's other information about that online help if you want to add it to your application as well. Let's view, that's what the eyeball is, or edit the record. And this allows us to see all the detailed information about the project. Here's one of those collapsible sections here. So we have project information at the top, who the project manager is, the dates of expectation, the status and the priority as we go down. We have a financial summary here, which is keeping track of how many hours are scheduled so far. 77. Where do they come from? As you come down and add a task, it'll ask you how many days you think it's going to take to do this task, and it will also ask you who the person is. So if you total up all of those hours, it amounts to 77 hours in this scenario times the people costs. So we've got a baseline of what we expect is going to be the overhead for this particular project. Notice there's only one time card that's debited against this. So this is our expectation, and this is what's actual so far. So let's go down further. Messages. This is like a bulletin board, an instant messaging platform. You can click on that and add messages so your team knows that you've got a team meeting at 4 p.m. today. And you might say, please review this before the meeting. And you can browse for a document. Now, it takes any kind of document you can think of, and I've got a Natasha Fatali picture here, and we'll use that as an example, but anything up to about 100 megabytes in size. Now, who's going to see this? Nobody's going to see this. Nobody's going to see it unless they're logged into Quickbase and they're looking at it, unless you feel it's important, and you can use this to set an alert to trigger off an email notification to let your team members know. And so let's click on Save. And down below, here, let's collapse this rather than scroll. There's the message, and there's the graphic for Natasha Fatali. So your team members can immediately share documents anywhere in the world, 7 by 24, 365 days a year, depending upon their roles and security that you want to do. If you can say it out loud, you can control what people can see and do inside your Quickbase. Now, further down, there is a document library that you could also use if you wanted to. or you can just use the messaging function here. Let's open up tasks. Let's open up finances. Let's open up project again. Okay. You saw when we were doing the initial Acme Contact Manager that you can right-click and edit. So here are those 99% things that you do typically. Sometimes you want to customize the application that you've got. You don't call them Project Manager. You want to click on and edit it and just simply change the name of what we're looking at to Team Lead, for instance, and then save it. And that's all you've had to do to make this be adapted to your company's naming convention. Now, I always love to right-click on description and add a field here for a file attachment. Maybe it's a statement of work. Maybe it's a picture. I'm going to add, like I've done already, a picture here. And I do a picture because it's visible. And I'll make it a file attachment here and say done. So now I've got a place where if I go into edit mode, I can browse down here and grab a picture. And I know I picked Natasha Fatale the last time. Let's put a New York picture right in here and say open. And I'm going to save it. So I might mention to you that Google uses Quickbase to track issues around Sarbanes-Oxley compliance. Intuit uses Quickbase to track Sarbanes-Oxley compliance issues. You can keep track of any number of revisions to this. If I edit this, for instance, I know we've got a New York link right there. I can choose to put something else in here. Let's put Dr. Evil in here with a $1 million picture. And now we've got this $1 million picture in here. Now, notice I hovered over that. That's because I've got a plugin in my browser that lets me, if I go over a graphic, to show the graphic. I want to show it on the page. And remember, 99% of what you want to do is right-click and edit. This is where we can go in and define what other changes we can do to this particular thing, like keep the revision history of all changes to this. So we have an unlimited way of keeping track of every complete document we put in here. We're also deciding that we want to show graphics if they are graphical. And we can also put little helper text in here. Please put your pics here. And let me click on save, and you'll see that the form is now morphed and we've got the revision information in here. If we update this or look at that revision information, you can see that we can go right back to the other graphics if we want to, just by clicking on that, clicking restore and saying OK. And now we've got a whole history, including the date, time, and identity of who it is that did that. And when I refresh this, we'll be back to New York. There we are. Okay, these are all expectations here. We've got a yellow status on this project. This is a graphic. If you want to know how these work, all you have to do is right-click and edit these things to see. And that's how I learned how to use Quickbase. But you're welcome to pop into the webinars on Wednesday and Friday afternoons at 2 p.m. And see how we actually can control these and where you get this and what other kinds of things you might want to do with it. It may be something when you press that button, it does something, because you could use that as a button if you'd like to. And there are a whole bunch of applications I can tell you about that do those things. But right now, it's supposed to be done on December 8th. And right now, the latest task that's reporting back the status of this in the project says it should be done by November 25th, which is okay. So there may be tasks that are overdue, but it isn't in jeopardy yet. If I come down below here, we're looking at all those action items. I know this is the reason that thing is yellow, is because, hey, there is something late, but it is not detrimental to the finish of this project. Let's add a task. And let's see, let's add a task. And we'll say we need to add a different activity, something like creating a brochure. And we can assign it to me so that you'll see what it's like to get an email notification. We'll also say it's part of planning, and it's a 3-fold with color brochure that we're doing. And let's go further down. We expect it's going to take 10 days to do. And you can actually put a date in here which projects out the finish date. Now, many times people feel insecure about that because they don't even know if the project's been approved yet, in which case they want to actually use a preceding task to say, well, there's something in front of me that has to happen. I need to know if that's done first before I can tell you what the start date is. So you can have and create a whole bunch of these predecessors, but they're any task in any project. You can daisy chain or put projects together so that when one project is over, that'll tell the second one to get launched if you wish to. I'm going to use the approval. This will tell us when the start date is. And I think this is going to take 12.6 hours or $1,738.80. Where did that come from? 12.6 hours times Kirk Tracy's overhead cost amounts to something that reports back to the project what the impact of doing this project actually is. So now what have I done? I've defined a task, assigned it to Kirk, but I haven't seen if Kirk is busy or not. There's this resource allocation functionality built into Quickbase by day and by hour. I'm going to look at it by day. It's all sample data, but you get an idea. In red, they go red when you've exceeded 120% of function. So in this, I've got it set for five-day weeks. You can change it to 7-day weeks if you want to. You can do it by numbers. You can do it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can do it by hours. There's a bunch of different things. But look over here. I'm already double booked Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, but on Friday I don't have anything going. So maybe I can do that. Or I may choose to use somebody else. Click, but this is at least you know what I'm going to be doing during that period of time. So make your choice there. I'm going to say it's okay. I'll click save. And this is firing off a notification. And it is going to let me know that I have been assigned a task. And down below here, those 77 hours now are 89 hours. And I've only submitted 1 hour of time cards. Here's the new flag next to create a brochure. Let's go over to my email. There we go. And I've got a new task assigned. You can see it up above. New task assigned. Create a brochure for the Increased Web Presence project. And down below here, you can see it's assigned to Kirk, threefold with color. And you can see the date has been figured out because predecessor, the preceding task, the approval has been completed so we can start there. So I'm in Quickbase. Let's say I've come in first thing in the morning. This is assigned to me. And other people are waiting for me. I may be the predecessor for somebody else. Let's click here to see if the task is visible here. Now, I'm logged into Quickbase, so my browser knows it, and it lets me come right into the actual place I need to work on. I can click on Edit, for instance, and then update this task. Now, if I wasn't logged into Quickbase, it would be asking for my username and password. So let's see, the status is we're in progress. We are actually 90% done, but we need a printer to print these things. So as I look up above at the details, I may say this is an issue. This is a problem. And I want it to be noted that way so the project manager might help or assist. I'm hovering over this, and you can see we need a printer, and that Kirk Tracy logged that complaint or that issue at that time. If I come down below here, I can actually add time cards to reflect the time and energy we've put into this thus far. So I'm going to say add a time card. And it takes us over to this area here where we can say I spent 8 hours drafting text. And so let's save that. That is debited, if you want to use that phrase, I guess. I guess it's an appropriate one. Debited. 8 hours subtracted from 12.6 of expectation leaves us 4.6 hours. Now, other people might be working on this. So let's add another time card. And this time, let's say it's Albert Cruz, and he worked 5.1 hours on this. And it was for graphics. And now, by the way, you don't like to keep track of activities, just right-click and remove this from the form. Or you can just leave it and use it if you want to. But it is a way of allowing you to make notations to your time cards. And here we have graphics, text here, totaling 13.1. So we've been overdrawn by 1/2 hour here. You can see the dollars and the impact of all that. You can see the date stamp up above. When I go and say this is complete and go to complete, what's going to happen is this is going to change, this is going to change, and the days overdue are going to change as well. Let's try it. We are done. These are called form rules, and very handy tool if you change the status of something. Maybe you want to require that they give you an update on why that is so, or give me the closing numbers. So you can require all those kinds of things in process. And how do you do it? It's up under this customize the form. The form rules on how they behave are listed up there. I'm going to save this, and it's now completed. And all the history of what we did, including the notes, the time cards down below, which, by the way, you can email. You can export to a spreadsheet. You'll see that built in here. Save it to a spreadsheet. And you'll find that virtually everywhere. Take us way up to the top. Let's click on the project itself, the parent, and it takes us back. And we now are looking at the project. We're still golden here. The date hasn't been violated yet. But you can see the numbers have been updated with the time cards as well as the budgeting. And the status down below is changed to complete for create a brochure. Now, one nice thing about spreadsheets is that you can edit them in a grid. And you can do the same thing using this grid function here. Grid edit. Click. So I am coming down here and I can say, gee, Colleen, I'm giving this to Albert Cruz and it's in progress. I come down to the system testing and say, we've got an issue here. Instead of 3, we're talking about 50 days. Now, the interdependencies of these action items are in jeopardy. Imagine elbowing yourself into the middle of a line and then pushing your elbows out because you're taking up more space. The whole timeline gets affected. When I save that, you can see it has affected the project. We're now talking about a red or overdue condition. And down below here, now we're pushed out to January 28th, which exceeds our drop dead date here. So just a view of some of the ways that you can update your action items and things like that. You want to move this around, click and group it by the people. Did you see how it changed and grouped them all by their names? We can do the same thing on any of these headers. Group it by status, group it by priority, group it by milestone. You can do a whole bunch of things. Click and drag. It's okay. The next time you come in here, it'll revert back to the way that it was. So no harm done there at all. And, of course, you can email these to anybody you want to in the world. kirktracy@gmail.com. Write a little note, hit send, and it goes out under your email address. Okay. And I can see emails coming in my email from that already. Let's talk about email a little bit further. Let's talk about an email notification when things happen. We're on a form. You can imagine that if somebody updates this very important picture, call it a statement of work if you like, the project manager may need to know about it, aka team lead. So we use notifications to do that, and you'll find them under settings. Every table has their own settings, and click. As I do that, you'll see there is workflow that I can use. And I'm going to create a new piece of workflow about a notification. And I happen to be in the project table. So we can name it. Let's see. I'm going to call it the picture change notification. And notify whom? You can send these to anybody. You can send them to the customers. They don't have to be Quickbase users. You can send them to a list of people. You can send them to a distribution. You can send them to the team lead, which is where I want it to go. That's whoever's name is selected in there. Whenever the project, and then you can set the circumstance of uniqueness. If you can say it out loud, you can do it. I'm going to go down to, hey, I don't care when you're doing it. If you change that picture, I want to know. So there, the picture. And what is the subject of the email? The picture for, we're just giving a heads up in the header of the email. The picture for the, now I'm going to hover over fields and markers and actually look at all the fields I could be inserting into this record. I'm going to put the project's name here. So the picture for the such and such project was changed by, and I'm going to hover again and grab who modified it that made that happen. So we have a record change notification listening for when the picture is changed or modified. I mean, when the whole record is, I need to be more specific. Under only when the field that contains the picture has been modified. And that may be good, but you may also want to take it a little deeper. Might say, well, I get too many of these. I need to know when the budget amount is greater than $10,000, for instance. And maybe only when the priority is over or set at high. And you can select that. And. You can put all kinds of things that you can say out loud in here. So we'll just leave it at that. High priority, 10,000. We'll save this. And we've now got a listening device here we call a reminder. A notification. Let's exit out of the settings area and actually make this happen. I know we've got a New York picture here. If I edit this and I select a different picture here, I want my manager to know about it. I'm going to put an Ohio picture in here. Okay, so the picture's changed. Who is team lead or project manager? That's me. So I'm going to get notified. Is it over $10,000? Yes, the budget is $12,058. That's okay. Is the priority high? No. Nothing will happen unless I make that high priority and change it. And so we have now given it a reason to fire off an email notification to me. And in a second, I expect to see it. And there it is. And there's my notification. The picture for the Increased Web Presence project was changed by Kirk Allen Tracy. And you can see the priority. And the picture is now the Ohio picture. And if I wanted to, all I have to do is click here. Click. And it brings me back into this record where I can look at the revisions. I can approve it. In this situation, I'm going to say that is the one I'd like to do. So I'll click on revisions, and I'll say click restore this. And all these histories of all these changes are now cast here. So let's refresh this, and you'll be back to $1 million with Dr. Evil. So that's the essence of workflow inside of Quickbase. Let's take a look at reports now, unless somebody's got a question. I'm going to go into tasks. And immediately I get a home page for tasks. Remember, every table has their own settings and reports. Click. There are many reports you can draw from. We're looking at all of these here. What if I would like to modify this? You can see how it goes way over to the side. What if I want to click and group these? Maybe I do it by status or something. I could do that just like that. I can also use this filtering. Show me the Increased Web Presence ones. And there, you can see how narrow this is. Maybe you want to group them now. Maybe you would like to say, I like this. Let me save this as a report. Increased Web Presence Tasks. We've created a report called Increased Web Presence Tasks. We are finding it up here. Increased Web Presence Tasks, recently used, so it's on the left side as well. And we can create new reports. And there's all different kinds of reports and charts and calendars. Let's create a chart. And we'll create a chart, and we'll call it, what are we going to call this? Let's say budgets by project. And I'm going to create a pie chart. So we come down and say, and it says here, which kind of chart do you want? Well, I want to select and look at all these different charts. A pie chart. This is the legend that we're going to see. And it says, well, what is this? Is it by company? In which case I've got the companies up here. I say, no, it is by company. Is it by the project lead? No, it's not the project lead. It's the project's name. So we've got by project. And what information do we want our pie to display? The budget amount. And so if we come down, we can actually make those labels show up right on the pie chart. Let's save it. If you find a report that you like and you wonder how it works, just click on Customize and copy the idea that's behind here. So here's this wonderful report. And we, of course, can filter down and see just the testing component of it. We can come back out to the main dashboard and actually change the selection over here. Remember, I said you could do that. If I went back to the dashboard and I said, gee, I want to see the budget by project, all I have to do is really come over here and look for that particular report. And I know I'm in the task world. There's tasks. And the last one I did was budgets by project pie. Click. And save. And that's how easy it is to add reports and update items in here. In the time we have remaining, I'd love to very quickly talk about roles and permissions. When I click on a user over here, I can click on share this application and invite somebody. But I haven't defined what it's like to be Acme. So I'm going to use this add new role over here and call it Acme. This is the behavior I want Acme to have. And it does allow me to look at every one of the tables that we've got and decide what is viewable, what is modifiable. And I'm going to say if the company's name is and contains Acme, then, gee, you can see the company information. How about projects? And there are many ways to do this. And if you want to go astray with it in a bunch of different unique ways, you're welcome to pop into some of the customization sessions so we can do this. But I'm kind of clipping along here faster than perhaps I'd like to, but you'll get the idea that you can control it into any way that you can say out loud and add further conditions to it. I'm just taking the easy way right now of saying if there's Acme in the name, you can see the company, the project, and the tasks. Same thing with modify, although I'm not going to use that. I'm going to only turn on adding, ability to add a project. But the project has full access. And am I happy with that? I can go into and override what the access is and say, out of all these fields, is there anything I want to hide or not show or make visible? Is it budgeting? Is it projects? Is it the Wile E. Coyote pictures or the Boston pictures? I'm going to say, no, you can't see the pictures. I'm going to click Save. So we've set up the permissions of a role. The user interface, which is the last part of the role, allows us to select that dashboard that we created for Acme. Their landing page can be as different. You can have as many of these as you want to, and you can shut off the complexity so that your customer is not distracted with all the things that you do every day. And that's what these links are, or these checkboxes that I'm doing. We have now come in here and set up a behavior so that when we come in here and say John at acmeisus.com, you're invited, but you got to behave like that. We are selecting this role, sending them an email. They set up their own password. And when they come back in here, they're not landing on a dashboard that looks like our project management dashboard, which we're seeing. We can actually click on our name up here and say, test this as if we were Acme so that we see what it looks like. And you can see the dashboard has changed. It's only showing Acme. it's only showing the project for Acme. It's only showing the detail and the overdue tasks for Acme. If I look at Acme, I don't see that picture here because it's muted. Up above, you'll see the whole world is simplified so that the customer can see exactly what you want them to be able to see. Let's end the test. It'll pop us back out to the main page where we're a project manager again here. And if you find that you need some help in here, there are a bunch of options under the help button. You can look for things like email, and it'll search through all the different databases about this. You can narrow your focus so that you're really nailing the area of interest that you have. 93% of people that open a support case get a call back within an hour. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. East Coast time. So you're welcome to use our support services to help create all these different types of applications. So just wrapping things up, there's nothing to purchase, download, or install. There are all kinds of application designs ready for you. There are other webinars available to help you train out on it, but ask away if you don't find what you're looking for. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for coming. Bye now.